Hello there and welcome to your next Objective-C tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be doing several things. First of all, we'll be doing a quick revision to all Objective-C that we've covered so far in the previous videos. So the second thing is continuing with Objective-C, and the third thing is Xcode. We will start using Xcode. I don't know if in this tutorial, but I think it's the next tutorial we will be knowing more about Xcode. Okay, so let's start with our first thing, which is a quick revision. Okay, first, the similarities. So far we've covered a lot of similarities between Objective-C and let's say C and C++. So these similarities are comments, variables, operators, if-else statements, while and for loops, the switch case, and how to scan values using the scanf method. Okay, now we'll list some differences. The first difference and the main one is the nslog, and this is used to print methods, to print our strings on the command line. And the second one is the bool. So the bool is a yes or no, capital letters, and the bool is also an uppercase word. The third one is classes, and this is the main issue here about classes. So if you get familiar with the classes, then everything will be alright. So we've mentioned before that we have a main class and and if we want to create a new class, we called it rectangle last time, you have to create two files for that, a .h and a .m file. The first one with at interface and the second one with at implementation. So we also mentioned that the interface, okay, this is an enhanced version of the interface. We just have to mention one time that it is at private int, and we list our variables here. Also the declaration of methods, just a declaration, and in the .m file we will be implementing our methods, and that's why it is called implementation. So we use the implementation at implementation, our class name rectangle, and then we implement all the methods. That's for the rectangle.m. And for the main, we just have to import our rectangle, then to create an instance, use all methods using the square brackets to call a method, and then release our instance. So this is for the main M. And that was all about revision. Now let's move to the next point, which is continuing with Objective-C. So previously we faced some functions and a calling of a function, but that function was only listing one argument. It was taking only one argument, which was w, the width, or anything else. So what about multiple arguments? If there are multiple arguments, our function needs to take more than one argument. This is the way. Okay, this was the one argument example, and if you want two arguments, this is the way how we do it. So you use a colon, your data type, and your variable name. This is for the first argument, and this is for the second argument. A colon, the data type between two brackets, and the variable name. Now how do we call this variable, this method? Well, simply we use a square bracket, and okay, this is not the way how we call our methods, but just for the sake of this example, the only thing I want to show is the usage of the colon past the first argument and another colon to pass the second argument. Okay, now we'll move to one important point. Well, it's not important, it is important, but we won't be messing with it a lot. So just for the record, I want to show you that there are constructors and destructors just like any other language. In Objective-C, there is a constructor, but the only difference is whenever you mention the name or the word constructor, you definitely or remember the class name. Usually we assign a method with the class name, and this would be our constructor. Here it is a little different. There is an already embedded constructor method, which is an init, and initialization go here. This the constructor and destructor will be supported for you with any creation of any class. So whenever you create a class, there is a template, a previously prepared template with the constructor and destructor. You just have to initialize and release your objects with these two. Okay, I'll be dealing with this more later on. I just want to skip to the next point, which is strings. So, how to declare a string in Objective-C. Clearly, I have mentioned before that we will be handling the NS word or the NS prefix a lot, so anything from now on will be an NS based word, so NS string. And how to declare it? In Objective-C, we always use this star. Don't forget to use it, and then we call the name of our string. So we've created so far a string called str. How to assign a value to it? Simply by assigning a string, and of course the @ sign is for strings, so @ and between two quotes will be, or quotation marks will be, your string. So now we've created another string called str2 with a high string attached to it. So how do we print the result of str2? Just like C and any other C language, nslog at %@ comma str2. Now this %@ is a little different. In C++ we use %s for strings. Here we use the @ sign. The @ sign is not just assigned for strings, it's used for any other object, and by saying object, I show you later what does or how do we use this %@. But for now, just remember that we have to use a %@ when you want to print a string. Now let's see some methods that are previously declared and implemented, and we can use them in our strings. So if I want to know the length of my string, I use this method, a square bracket, the name of the string, and I simply type length. What about uppercase? Still the same, uppercase string. This is pretty self-explanatory, and all methods that are used in Objective-C are a little they do not need an explanation. Okay, so I'm moving to mutable strings now, and mutable is or mutable means subject to change. If you look it up in your dictionaries. So strings, if I want to create a string and I want to modify the content of it, I use a mutable string instead of a normal string. So how do we declare? Okay, just to remind you how to declare a regular string, NS string, str, my name is. Okay, to declare a mutable string, it is called NS mutable string, and you assign a name for it. In my case, I will assign the name mutstr for it. So how do I assign a value for this mutable string? There is a way, or there is a method to call, and it is okay. Use this way to give or assign a string to your mutable array, a mutable string. Sorry. So mutstr, it's supposed to be str. I'm sorry. Then between two square brackets, type ns mutable string with format, and here you have to assign a string to it, which is add, and between the two quotation marks will be your string. So far I have a string str with content my name is. I have an mutstr string with content this is a mutable string. Now how can I manipulate the data inside these strings? I simply use this this method. It's called string with string. So mutstr, the content of this string, which is this is a mutable string, will be replaced by whatever is here, which is str. So mutstr will be holding this string my name is. So mutstr is now assigned to my name is. The next thing is inserting a string. So if you want to add a string to your mutstr, to your mutable string, you just have to use this method called insert string, and you assign to it a string, and you call it and you tell it to what index should it be assigned. So this example here shows a 3. So if I return to here to the above string, my is at index 0 and name is at index 1 and is at index 2. So the word Danny will be assigned to index 3, which is here. So I will have a mutstr with content my name is Danny. Now the last one is the append string. Append string is adds this string to the end of my mutable string, so without calculating any index. So if I want to add a string or some words to my string, to the end of my string, I use this method called append string. So I have now, if I want to print mutstr, it will give me a result of my name is Danny Arnaud. And that's it for mutable strings, and I'll be continuing and explaining more about arrays and other stuff in the next video. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for my next videos.